Hail Traveler. We're looking at Silent Night, a module for Living Alchemy. Living Alchemy is a tabletop RPG about people at their worst. Drunkards, sexual deviants, worshippers of false gods. These stories are violent, devious, but in the end very human. The game is setting agnostic, but draws most from gothic fantasy, especially its larger-than-life characters searching for forbidden knowledge. Through play, tense dramatic situations emerge organically. Handling them requires a combination of strategy, luck, and self-reflection. You may have seen my post about Lawrence the Innocent, the self-hating elf who created the heir to an empire. Another game was about a printer's son who began printing books of the occult. Another was about a boy inheriting his brother's estate, as well as his mistakes. Characters acquire or lose power. They experience love and betrayal and are changed by the experience, not always for the better. Silent Night is my attempt to distill this experience down and make it accessible for players with any kind of RPG background. They should be able to show up cold and get a taste for what the full game has to offer in a 3 to 4 hour block. I've run the module 3 times before, and each went very well. Recently, I played an online session using this Tabletop Simulator mod. Tabletop Simulator is a physics engine dedicated to board games. I think it helps retain some kinesthetic elements and brings weight to the game state. You can see all the materials here. 4 character sheets, 17 flip cards, a how to play sheet, and some dice. The background for the game is this. It's the end of the 19th century, when the gears of progress promise to sweep away the last vestiges of superstition. Our protagonists are 4 afflicted characters visiting a magnanimous Eastern philanthropist named Max, who promises to help them with their problems. But not all is as it seems. To achieve their ends, the players must explore the reaches of Max's castle, uncover its secrets, strike deals with its guests, and make it out alive. When everyone shows up, we begin by reading the rules. This lets players know their rights and responsibilities and introduces them to the game's mechanics. Each player chooses a character template and adds in details and context, imbuing their character with purpose and meaning. The sickly illusionist is an escape artist with a terminal illness. The angry young master is the last of their house, sworn to vengeance. The amorous servant of God has been torn from their congregation after an affair. The broken hero is a big game hunter, fallen onto hard times after a wound which he treats with an opium pipe. Characters are sharply divided by class status. The sickly illusionist and the broken hero are agents with strong physical abilities. The amorous servant of God is a scholar with rhetorical and scientific skills. The angry young master is a patron who can hire people to work his bidding. This specialization encourages players to develop their relationships and to work together. Conflicts are resolved using dice. Major characters have abilities called gifts, each associated with the dice pool. These dice are cast against a bag of numbers called targets. If a die outcome is greater than or equal to a target, it matches it. Dice outcomes can also be combined. 2 3s can become a 4. 2 3s and a 4 can be combined into a 5. If all the targets are matched, the roll is a hit, and the action succeeds. Otherwise, it's a miss. In that case, the Game Master decides whether you succeed or fail, and to what degree. In any case, there is some complication, and your character acquires a penalty target equal to the highest target missed. This will apply to any rolls affected by the complication. Targets in Living Alchemy are assigned in accordance with the scene and the conflict. For a standard conflict, there is a bag of standard targets that either do or do not apply. The Game Master doesn't have any special role in framing the conflict besides establishing fictional context. Here's an example. Suppose a tower has collapsed with your friend inside. You would like to dig her out before she asphyxiates and dies. Luckily, you are a veteran gravedigger with 3 dice. What are the targets for this conflict? Well, digging uses a lot of physical force, so take a 5. And you can't really take your time here, so you'll need to do a rushed job, so take another 4. Luckily, you have your trusty shovel, so you won't have to take a 4 for improvise. You cast your dice, and you miss. The Game Master gets to choose whether you save her or not, considering which outcome will place you into a more difficult position. Perhaps she emerges with some kind of condition, and your character takes a penalty representing their guilt. Before players make rolls, they have the option to use extra dice, up to double the size of their original dice pool. This is known as going over your limit, a gambit against your character's affliction. When you go over your limit, write the number of extra dice you're using into your character's blood pool and make your roll as normal. Afterwards, make a second roll using your affliction against all the targets in your blood pool. If you miss this, your affliction is triggered. Until treated, you can't go over your limit and must overcome your affliction for any conflict you enter into. Blood targets stick around until you treat your affliction and your blood pool is cleared. Let's try that roll again, going over your limit by 2 dice. You mark a 2 in your blood pool and make your roll. This time you hit and succeed. Now you roll your affliction against your blood pool. In addition to standard conflicts, you can support, contest, or use a special ability. Supporting helps other characters to complete their actions. When you want to help someone, roll against their primary targets. If either of you make your rolls, the action succeeds. Anyone who misses produces a complication and a resulting penalty. When two major characters make opposing actions, they're settled with a contest. Each player enters a simultaneous bid of 0 or more dice. The highest bidder resolves the conflict, with the roll as usual, but takes all of their initiative dice as penalties. Players also have access to special abilities, allowing them to introduce elements into the game. Choose a number of effects and roll against the associated targets. Here's an example of a special ability. Suppose the angry young master needs to hire someone to retrieve his gun from his coach. He uses the ability hire to discover a small orphan boy looking for a foster parent for him and his sister. This is associated with one detail relating to the hire's background and 2 relating to their goals. This produces the targets 4, 5, 5. A missed roll would allow the GM to change details about the hire. The hire will have the gift orphan associated with 5 dice. That's the game. You're ready to meet our players and see how the story played out. Until next time, safe travels.